editor of MovieCityNews.com, and I wrote the essay that you can find in your handy-dandy music box theater about computer chess from the film. Gordon Lothar Kendallman, please. And Alex Lipschultz, producer. And Dodge, who has a small part in the film, as well as a larger one in an earlier film called Beeswax. And the key keeper, Andrew Bujalski. Good, everyone has a mic. Is everyone's mic working? Yes. Excellent. All right, is this a true story?
No. Tomorrow we're actually going to have a guy here named David Slade who, I mean, certainly there are many facts that we drew upon this. There were conferences like this, tournaments like this, and we tried to get some of it right. And part of that meant, asking people like Gordon who understand computers to act in the movie, so that when people in the movie were talking about this stuff, it made sense way more than it would have if I just tried to go on Wikipedia and guess and write it. So, we drew on reality. And the last third of the movie, all of that is completely real.
I was convinced. Gordon, could you fill in a little bit about that, making him look good?
These tournaments were run by the Association for Computing Machinery, ACM, from I think about 1970 up to 1994. And like, as you see in the movie, people would bring in their programs to play against each other. And it was sort of an academic activity, but also a lot of hobbyists or people who were doing this on their own time. And in some sense, it really was the breeding ground for some of the ideas that turned into what we call artificial intelligence today. And it's an area of computer science that I actually don't know a lot about. So it was easy for me to prepare for and learn about this material. I would just find things about computer chess, and if it was written after 1980, I wouldn't read it. And then everything before 1980, I kind of wrote up some notes and found David Slade, who will be here tomorrow night. I think that one of the things that the movie gets very right is how intense and passionate programmers are about their software, and how writing software is not a methodical or logical process.
And I needed to rely on you even for kind of plot points. I mean, there'd be like, I'd say, okay, Gordon, at this point in the movie, you need to reveal something about Tsar that the kid didn't know, and you need to take it to a deeper level. I don't know anything about what that would mean, and I needed you to figure out in computing terms how that piece of the plot would work.
Right. So I actually stayed up late one night thinking about how does Tsar work, and I came up with this explanation to myself involving things like dynamic compilation and parallel computing and adaptive learning.
Why didn't I think of that?
Yeah, and all of which was probably very unlikely to be occurring in a computer of that era, especially on the PDP-11, which was the actual hardware of Tsar. Not that that was part of the movie. But that made sense to me, and if I was in that time, that's the kind of program that I would have wanted to write. And it would have been very ambitious, and it wouldn't have worked. At least not right the first time. So I totally believed everything I was saying about how that software worked and how to debug it. One of the things that I appreciate learning from David Slade is that then as now, a lot of complex programs are debugged essentially just by writing these little print statements. So you can the program says something to you at different points in its execution. There's not some sort of fancy graphical way of inspecting the state of the program. It just sort of blurts out these little statements to you, and you turn up the sort of verbosity level of these things as you go, and And that's exactly what we were doing in that scene where the camera is coming in from the screen, running trace positions like that, seeing how the program responds to known chess positions is exactly how some of these programs were debugged. But this is, yeah, that's one part of the movie. I could go on.
It was around that era that Ronald Reagan said facts are stupid things. But not to say what you said is I can almost follow. That's just me. Alex, you're the producer here. I think Kevin Smith once described I forget who was described the film as cost more than Clerks but less than Titanic. Would this film fall in that range?
Probably less than Clerks did, actually.
Not the legendary figure.
Yeah, not the legendary figure.
25,000.
This was
700.
This was we had come on. No. Clerks was that was our catering budget. Come on.
Yeah, big money movie.
It's a lot of time.
Yeah, I give you the ballpark.
No.
But basically the difference
That's a big
between
ballpark.
the difference between a $500,000 movie and a $5 million movie. I mean, do you have a sense of what the difference is? It's basically people got paid on a $5 million movie. But yeah, it's a nice budget. I feel like we stretch it about as far as humanly possible.
We got $700 between the two of us. That was a lot.
You're making it sound like we had $500,000.
Yeah, no, we didn't.
If you had real budget, you get those carpets cleaned in that motel.
We actually made those carpets dirtier. Production value.
What's the story with the renovation that happened shortly after?
Yeah, well, so I think we actually shot at 3 different hotels for different, we kind of cobbled together a hotel. Well, 3 hotels plus the bar was not there, and the little breakfast nook was not there either. But the one hotel that had the lobby was such a, we were so excited when we found it. And poor Alex, went to every hotel, motel, Holiday Inn in the Austin area from including some truly horrifying ones. And just through, it's not easy to find a hotel that looks like it can pass for 1980 when you don't have the money to make one. And so this great, they've actually changed corporate branding now, but they were a Ramada Limited that had this perfect lobby, and it looked like, and we were very excited. It was like, hey, we're making a movie, we'd love to shoot here. Your lobby looks like it hasn't changed since 1980.
It really was a time capsule.
And I think they were, I think they were embarrassed enough by this that shortly after we wrapped, they remodeled. However, now it looks like a period piece from 1990, which is perfect for our sequel.
Maybe you'll have to go to the former Soviet Union for this. That's fine. All right, we should take questions from the audience. Who wants the microphone? Okay, gentleman on the aisle, microphone is coming your way.
So, I suppose the big detail I knew about this film coming into it, having not seen it, great by the way, was that you shot on all that vintage period hardware. Can you talk a little bit about what it was like to wrestle with all the old video gear?
Yeah, I thought it would be easy. I'd seen some work. Particularly, there's a great William Eggleston, the great photographer, color. He's very famous for his color still photography. Made this beautiful shots in black and white, just kind of basically as a hobbyist shot video on one of these early black and white analog tube cameras, and that was 30 years later edited and released to something called Stranded in Canton. And that footage really made an impression on me, and I think put the seed in my head of, I wonder what it would be like to try to tell a story in this language, this abandoned language of analog video. And this whole project was a real kind of leap off a cliff. I mean, I didn't know if any of this was going to work on any level, but I figured, with the camera, I thought, well, I know it's old, but if we can find that one that works, it worked fine in 1973. It should work fine now. What I guess I hadn't entirely thought through is a couple things. Number one, part of in 1973, as you saw in the movie, you'd run it to a big tape deck, And you can find a camera that works if you're lucky. You can't find a reliable 3/4 inch tape deck. Even archives, struggle to keep them working. And I think they didn't work that well in 1973. So that was problem number one, is like we got to figure out how to record on this thing. Problem number 2 through 200 was getting it to communicate with modern formats. I mean, what you guys watched tonight was an HD cam tape, which is beautiful, looks great to me, and I'm so happy with it. But HD cam, DVD, Blu-ray, DCP, online streaming, none of these things were designed to accommodate 1973 analog video. And so we have to, every time we master it for a new format, we have new technical headaches. And I wouldn't trade a moment of it. I mean, it was, so many rational people told us ahead of time, don't do this. Get a nice new camera, I'll run this cool filter on it, which will make it look like the old stuff. Which of course it's absolutely amazing what people can do in post now, and I'm certain they could have done, a pretty good job of mimicking this. But A, of course, ain't nothing like the real thing, and B, the camera had so many quirks. It was a lot like an actor in as much as, I couldn't control the performance of the camera. It was just gonna kind of do things that we didn't quite expect, which were so much more interesting than what we could have come up with. So it would throw glitches at us and things, or not even necessarily just glitches, but certainly there are plenty of glitches in the movie that are things that the camera did, and I watched it in the edit and said this the same way I would with an odd moment in performance. It's like, I need this. And I wouldn't have dreamed it up on my own. So I was really enjoyed working with it.
The distributor's press kit on the front page of the film is always listed as format HD cam, 35mm. Here it probably says NTSC analog.
Yeah. Well, I think they asked me, they were like, what format is it? And I don't know. It's the best I could describe it.
All right, who else has got curiosity? There's a big hand all the way at the back. I mean, a long arm, maybe.
Huge hand.
I think you have to speak up.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I really love the cats. I'm curious how they found their way to the fly.
The cats, yeah. Yeah, love cats, love cats. Can't make an avant-garde movie without cats. It's kind of the long and the short of it, I think. I mean, it's been interesting to me to hear people's read on them, and it never occurred to me, but I like this. This was not in my mind, but certainly something I've read that people said about it was that that cats are such an integral part of the internet. There's so many cats on the internet. I mean, I think that it's interesting to me, just as a filmmaker. I think that I don't know for sure. I haven't seen a scientific study, but I'm assuming that there are more dog lovers than cat lovers in the United States of America, general populace. Among filmmakers, I'm sure it's got to be like 90 or 95% cat people. It's just something about the temperament of cats. Cats are cinema.
Cats are cinema. Let's get him to top that. Who's got right here in the middle? For a microphone, just.
How did you come up with the initial idea to make a movie about computer chess?
Yeah, the initial idea of computer chess, I don't. It's hard to remember.
You had a book.
Yeah. Well, but I got the book after. So it was actually 4 years ago here. Like screen testing Gordon was even before I wrote The Treatment. I had the fantasy of the video thing. It started with the video idea, and this is also from 10 years of making movies on 16mm film and having people say, why don't you shoot video? Why don't you shoot video? I was like, fuck, okay, I'll shoot video. But it's gonna be weird and difficult and painful. And so I was fantasizing about this video, and then, I had, my favorite bookstore in the world is in Newton, Massachusetts. It's called the New England Mobile Book Fair, and they have a remainder section. It's a very customer unfriendly bookstore, and it's hard you can't find anything. And they have a remainder section, which I swear, like the same books that were there when I was a kid are still there. New books go in there, but the old ones never leave, and it's like defies physics. And they had a book of chess trivia for $1 or $2, and I'm a terrible chess player. I don't really know anything about it, but I thought, I want a book of chess trivia for $1 or $2. And in that book, and it was from the 80s, the book was from like 86 or something, and there was a section of questions on computer chess, which mentioned the existence. It was like, where was the first ACM computer chess tournament held? And I thought, well, that's interesting, you know? I'm gonna make a movie about that. And then somehow just that fantasy kicked around in the back of my head, and it joined up with the video thing that seemed to make sense. But it really, I mean, all the heavy lifting on this was done in my subconscious. My heavy lifting, I mean, the real heavy lifting was done by the people who worked. But my part of it, dreaming it up, I don't remember much of it.
There's a gentleman right here. You need a microphone?
Give it a try.
So, what are the inspiration? If there was any real life inspiration, you came up for a weird rebirth group?
Oh yeah, sure. The encounter group. I mean, that's again, I don't remember when I thought this movie needs an encounter group in it. Yeah, but where did the inspiration for those guys come from? You know, I think part of it was thinking about, because I knew I was doing, I wanted it to be on the cusp. We never say when the movie takes place. It's somewhere on the cusp of the 70s and the 80s. And I like the idea of, you know, I think that the kind of the pop culture retrospective view of history is like, in the 50s, everybody, you know, ate hamburgers and listened to Elvis, and then in the 60s, they were all hippies, and then they started wearing bell-bottoms and discoing, and it's like, and of course, as we experience the flow of history, it's not quite so discreet. It's like you don't hang up your bell-bottoms on December 31st and start playing Pac-Man on January 1st. And I feel like the movies, and then like there's that very funny scene in Boogie Nights where basically like that's exactly, you know, as soon as the 70s end, like their lives immediately turn terrible, like have a stroke. And I think it's